letting go of the way that you think things should be on someone else's journey can really unlock innovation for everyone. It's really important.
Isn't that at root, that's the power of capitalism, right? It's like you want the best ideas to win, and you want this meritocracy. So this person who you gave lots of ownership to is coming up with these amazing ideas. They're energizing the team, and we're winning as a result. You gave the same amount of ownership to someone and they're a complete squatter, a dud, right? And then it's on you to either train them up to the spot to get them where they need to be or get them off the bus. And that's basically how I see leadership.
Well, and often, and the quantum leader can see innovation through chaos and mistakes as well. So, that's all the perspective taking,
I'm all for those.
Hey everyone, it's Amy Lynn Durham, and you're listening to Create Magic at Work. Create Magic at Work is on a mission to equip senior leaders with tools they need to be a true quantum leader and actually understand what that means. Improve employee engagement, retain top talent, and transform your workplace culture to have less drama and stress. So let's start making magic. Hey everyone, welcome to Create Magic at Work. Today I have a very interesting guest for everyone in the Create Magic at Work community. Our guest is Evan Duby, and his company is GoX Venture Capital. So I met Evan through a former colleague and current friend of mine that I used to work with, Scott Rogerson, who was like one of the first guests on the Create Magic at Work podcast back in, I want to say, September of 2021. So very cool how this journey has unfolded. Let me tell you a little bit about Evan. He's the founder and general partner of GoX Venture Capital, investing in early stage real estate tech companies. Evan has been a hedge fund money manager, music published creatives director, record label owner, real estate sales team leader, and all-around entrepreneur for the past 25 years. Evan and I have had some interesting side conversations about the future of AI and also money. You know, he's a hedge fund money manager. So I asked Evan to be on the Create Magic at Work podcast to dive into all of these topics to help all of us learn more. So Evan, welcome to Create Magic at Work.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Is there anything I missed that you want to share about yourself with the listeners?
No, I think that besides that, I guess my first job was at a fish market in Monroe, Connecticut. But maybe I felt like as you were listing those jobs, I'm like, man, I've done a lot of things. So.
And you started at the fish market. That's amazing.
I did. Age 13, I started as selling fish. It's been a long road to now.
Awesome. What's your favorite fish?
Well, if we're going to start with fish, the unfortunate tragedy of having my first job be at Swanson's Fish Market was that I don't eat fish right now because I was so grossed out by cleaning soft shell crab, killing lobsters, and just the whole fish coming home smelling like fish that my wife is annoyed by the fact that I don't eat fish.
Don't eat fish. And you're based out of Nashville now, right?
Yeah, we moved to Nashville in the summer of 2022. So we were in Brooklyn for 20 years before that. Grew up in and around New York City. And our mutual friend and I, Scott Rogerson, met each other when I would think was 12. And so he's sort of my oldest and best friend from childhood.
It makes sense. Scott's a master connector. So
he is unique in many ways, and most particularly his capacity to connect people. He's an awesome guy.
Yep. Okay, so here's why I wanted to bring you on the show. Well, there's a lot of reasons, because I was really interested in your perspective on some of these things, but I want to get into money, and particularly women having and making money, and your insights and views on all of that. So let me set this up a little bit for you. As I moved from the corporate landscape, W-2 employee, into the entrepreneur landscape of starting Create Magic at Work, becoming an executive coach, starting a brand, all of those things, I was immersed into this coaching world and spirituality world because I'm a spiritual intelligence coach, right? Blending the two. And it was something that really shocked and surprised me as I shifted into that space. A few of the surprises were the amount of bombarding messages I received on LinkedIn when I changed my title to executive coach, of marketing companies wanting me to hire them to bring me clients. That was an incredible amount of messages I received compared to when I was a leader in the corporate space. I was not messaged that much
Yeah.
on
Interesting.
LinkedIn, right? The other thing is, once I started the Create Magic at Work brand on Instagram and started in my algorithms getting a lot of spirituality type posts and inspirational, motivational messages that I really resonated with, because I had personally gone through a deep spiritual awakening early in like 2015 in my life. And I was off on this path of tapping into higher self, putting my ego aside, and all of these things. One of the things that started coming across my feed was coaching and group coaching sessions for women that offered them money manifesting, how to tap into a money mindset. There are a lot of spiritual books on money, one of which I read and read a prayer. Really, it's a affirmation with my clients at the end of our sessions. One of them is called "It's Not Your Money," right? How can we use all of this money that's flowing in and out for the greater good and view it as energy? In and out, right? I can already see her. This is why I invited you on, because you're the hedge fund money manager. So I want to hear, one, let's start with the basics. If someone listening is like, what the heck is a hedge fund
Right.
money manager? Let's just deep and brief there. And then we'll go from there. I have a question after that. So let's start there.
Yeah. Interesting progression you went through there. Okay, a hedge fund, essentially, best way to describe this. Okay, so it's a pool of capital, a private pool, an investment vehicle that's created by a collection of what are called limited partners. Essentially, if I were to describe it to a layman, I would say think of it as a private business where all these people put their money in this one bucket, and then they hire a manager to make investment decisions with all of that money. The thing that makes it sort of exclusive is that you typically have to be what's called an accredited investor in order to even be eligible to invest in a hedge fund. That's a person of a certain net worth and a certain salary. But they sort of emerged as these private investment vehicles that had an air of exclusivity as a result. It was sort of only invited people could join. And so they sort of evolved over the past, I don't know when the first one was, but let's call it 30 or 40 years that hedge funds have been hedge funds. Now, so a venture capital firm is something that a firm that invests, gives companies, startup companies money in exchange for equity shares. But they're really, the legal structure of a venture capital fund is basically the same as a hedge fund, except the hedge fund is buying and selling securities in the public market. So that's, a little ticker tape that you see if you go on CNBC and the stock prices are going on the bottom. A hedge fund is investing in stuff like that. A private equity shop is making big bets in private companies that aren't traded on the public exchange. So this whole class of investment vehicles are separate from, maybe your listeners would be more familiar with something like Vanguard, right? You write a $100 check, you can be anybody that you want and open an account with Vanguard, and you can buy index funds and stocks. That's like a separate thing versus like professional money management. So hopefully that makes sense. The thing that really confounds people is the concept of shorting stocks. They don't get how a person, like, they get buying a stock, but like shorting a stock is something that's very confusing. And that's what you're hedging. Like the hedge fund will own some securities and go short a set of securities to try and hedge market risk. So that's really why they were designed.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Right away, I'm like, why do you think, and again, I'm generalizing based on the statistics, right? I'm sure there are some amazing women in finance, but why do you think the majority of this space is men?
I mean, I'm sure historically that's been the case. I really don't. I don't know if that's the case now. I certainly know plenty of women who are in the space, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not smart enough to know why the world is exactly the way it is. I don't know. I don't know if it has something to do with gender-based decisions or some, I'm sure there's some that would say that there's an inherent bias that, going back decades or hundreds of years, maybe that's a piece of it. But I do know some ladies, women that are excellent money managers, venture capital
Mhm.
people. So I think if you have an interest in it, I think it just comes down to that. Like
Mhm.
I do believe the good thing about 2024 is that if you have an interest, if you have an investment thesis that other people are excited about, and you have a track record, I'm pretty sure most people that I know want to be investing with you. If you're a lady out there, the doors are open. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Let's say
Mm,
somebody is listening to us right now and they're driving to their job they go to and they're earning their paycheck, just getting through the
mm,
day. They've got, their home life to take care of, their personal relationships, their work.
yes.
What would be a great first step for someone to start looking at building wealth for themselves?
That's a good question. Well, so the whole equation really is about, if you just think of yourself as a business, it's a revenue minus expenses, right? And what you have left over uh, is what you want to think about being able to invest. And I think the first thing would be developing the habit of paying yourself sort of first as an expense. I think that was something that was powerful for me to start. Because if you don't go about this in an intentional way, life being as expensive as it is, you will just dissipate the money that you make basically at most levels. People think, oh, if I just make this, then I'll start saving and investing money. It's like, no, man, you're gonna ratchet up your toys and gadgets and other ways to waste money. So having a line item in there, and actually, when I say line item, go and spreadsheet this thing. If you're a salary person, if you're a W-2 person, you can know with a good degree of certainty what your annual revenue is going to be for yourself, what you're going to make your salary. And then you just line out, okay, housing is this, food is this, insurance, and build that model. It's like, well, how much do you have left over after all of that? And that's start saving that today. Like have a plan and what that number is. I would get that money out of your account immediately and into an investment account every single month. If it's
Mhm.
$100, if it's $200, it's like a set it and forget it type of thing. There is a magical, or this is probably as spiritual as I get as a person, maybe.
Mhm.
So there's a magical equation that powers the universe, and it's called power of compounding, right? Like, you can just give this a Google and look up how the present value of money and how to understand what compounding can do. Time is a huge factor in the model, right? So the earlier you start putting money to work for yourself, even in the smallest ways that feel insignificant, once you get that snowball rolling, by the time you put 10, 15, 20 years behind it, and it's compounding, right? So that means it's growing at a particular rate. That's where you can really start saving money. So that's how anybody should do it. But it's possible, I think, under any budget. It's just like, where can you remove expenses from all this like flashy stuff that you don't need, that's wasteful, and you will have more money than you expect. And then that's how you hear about these folks. Oh, she worked as a admin person for the public school system in Nashville for 30 years, and she's got $1.3 million in the bank. That's because she's been saving for 30 years. That's how it works. So hopefully that answers your question, but it's very much about being intentional around expenses, and every month, whatever the remainder is, get it out of your account and automatically send it to Vanguard or Charles Schwab or one of those Robinhood type investment
Yeah,
vehicles.
somebody you trust. Yeah. Yeah, there's a women's investment group that I follow. They're called Ellevest,
Hmm,
Ellevest, that are tailored to make women wealthy. So
nice.
I'm not paid by them or anything. I'm just I just recommend them because I love what they stand for. So just to kind of recap what you're saying, if myself, someone listening feels like, oh, I have to wait till my debt's paid down all the way, till I have no debt, then I can invest, or I have to wait till I have no credit card debt, or I have to wait till I get a raise, till I set something aside. You're saying,
Okay.
no, start today.
Well, sorry to interrupt. I would say
Yeah.
if you're carrying a credit card balance, I would absolutely crush that first. I would crush that immediately. I mean, particularly right now, as interest rates have spiked in the past 2 years, people don't understand. So the negative part of this compounding is when you're compounding, you owe someone else's is holding the whip essentially, right? Like they're the ones who are sitting there. The banks are earning these 20+% interest rates, particularly if people start missing payments and their interest rates start to pop up. I mean, you get yourself in a negative compounding situation where you owe more and more. You owe interest on the interest after a while. So I would view your credit card. This is the way that I use credit, and it's not. And I've done this poorly in the past, but the past 10 or 15 years, I've done this well, which is to say, I use credit cards as a form of cash because I pay them off at the end of every month, and I play the points game. But carrying balances on credit cards is no bueno. You just don't want to do that. So credit cards to zero, and then I would build myself a bit of a cash moat in case something, whether people talk about it like whatever your copays are on your insurance, like a 2x of that, or if you're out of work for 6 months, how to have like a nest egg there. And then depends on what your level of risk is and how secure your job is. But after that, I would not have money sitting around. There's a good thing. People should get comfortable with feeling broke in the right way. And by that, I mean, you're constantly depleted because you're putting money to work in investments. And so for me, at least, it's like, oh, I got to go make some more money. And then when it comes in, I'm just like, look at it. I go, send it, go get that money to work. So that's what this like accordion like cycle is. You're sort of like breathing in and breathing out. It's sort of like get this money in the door, particularly for entrepreneurs, I guess I'm talking about. Whether you're investing back in your business so that you're going to be able to make more money, or putting that to work in the markets in some kind of way, whether it be public or private. That's the way to build wealth. I don't believe you'll ever be able to earn your way towards financial freedom, particularly the way that our tax system works, right? Like our ordinary income, so your W-2, your 1099, that's taxed at the highest marginal rates. Investment income and capital gains are taxed quite differently. So when you hear rich people don't pay their share, well, no, they are using the tax system the way it's been designed.
Yeah, I think those are the takeaways for me, is do something small to get started so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. Just do something small and start playing around with it. Like the expert comes in the practice. And
Yes.
and then the healthy combination of what you bring to the table with the understanding and the knowledge of the tactical, and then what I bring to the table with the intention setting, right? The goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
So we can tie those together. And I think that that's a beautiful way to tap into some financial freedom energy. So I want to switch to talking to you about AI, because you and I had a conversation about, frankly, like in my world, the Edgewalker skills and qualities. And you actually took the Edgewalker profile because because we had a conversation about you, sort of your ability to sense the future and kind of plan ahead and see what's coming. And so you have an opinion or a take on AI and what that's going to look like for the real estate market. And so tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about where you're going with all of that, and a little bit more about GoX.
Sure. Well, I think AI is we're all gonna be AI-ists in some way or another. That is to say, it's going to be such a pervasive part of our life going forward that it's going to touch all industries in some kind of form or capacity. So for folks who aren't all that familiar yet, this is the GPT stuff that people are talking about. The tools are getting better at an alarming rate. They start to do things that will be frightening. We have the risk of this thing tumbling in a bad way, in the Skynet Terminator kind of way. I don't know enough about I haven't thought at length about how that could be problematic, but I see the ways in which it will make efficiencies, particularly in real estate transactions, happen. Just imagine a tool that you, on your best day, plus all of your friends' best day, answering questions. The AI version of Evan on this, who hasn't been diminished by a long weekend in Tampa, seeing Billy Joel and Sting with his friends, or any of that type of stuff, right? So that's like the super tools that are coming. I think it can, in particular, replace the way buyers are buying homes, the way that real estate agents are getting leads, the way that transactions close. It's just, it's going to happen in the legal space, and certainly, in the medical space. So change is coming. There are waves forming off the shore. And the reason why venture capital is exciting to me at this time, I think it could be a golden age of venture capital, much the way it was during the dot-com boom. There was a bust there, but there was a lot of this birthing of microchip and software based solutions in the internet. I think AI presents that type of technological breakthrough possibility. And I think real estate as an industry, one that's been so cloistered, let's say, because of the way the National Association of Realtors has worked for the past 70 years, as those sort of monopolistic walls are falling, I think that technology is going to come in and change a lot of things quicker than people expect.
So, a couple of things. If someone is afraid of AI stealing their job, in no matter what market it is, I know we touch on real estate, but I don't think it matters which area. What would your advice be to someone that might be feeling a little bit of fear about the future, and what they can do to tap into a sense of agency and empowerment during this phase of change?
That's a great question. Well, the thing I see as the machines and robots can't really take are sort of, your network. You build these human relationships, right? I guess we could live in a world where I'm somewhere else and this is the robot version of me hosting this. It has my visuals down. It has uploaded me as a large language model, and it's answering the question. But who knows? That day and time may come. But I think for the foreseeable future, building out your network, developing your relationships, having a concept of relationship capital, back to money. Like just building that know, like, and trust thing amongst people in different spheres of influence would be the way. And so, I think most good jobs come from knowing someone. And so I would spend as much time as you can investing in other people and focusing there, because these skill sets that are highly technical that a machine can do, I think that's where the fear sort of sets in. So that's what I'm doing. I think people should do something likewise. I think if you're in the way, if you're on the beach as this wave is forming and you've got your back turned to the shore and you just don't want to change, I think you're sort of doing it to yourself. So if you're feeling rigid and like, I'm just things will be fine for the next 2 or 3 years, that's not how markets shift. They think you just went through the pandemic. Your city was open on March 15th and it was closed on March 17th. Like, you were not expecting that, right? So you have to open yourself up to the idea when things shift, they can shift fast. And just have that more open mindset of like, how can I utilize and leverage my networks to evolve my offering? That's my suggestion.
I love that. So a couple of things. As a spiritual intelligence mentor, executive coach, we operate with the bias that the universe is loving and intelligent. So there's that I want to add to that. There's also the way that you're saying this is, we can use AI to pause and tap into a deeper sense of meaning in life. So that's SQ. How do I make wise and compassionate decisions for myself and others, even while I'm under great stress? How do I practice these skills on a daily basis I envision that AI will give us more of an opportunity to practice that because we're not doing these mundane tasks that it's going to do for us. And how do we use these tools to impact the greater good as quantum leaders? How do we use these tools to have a ripple effect into our communities, into our planet, and into humanity as a whole for the greater good? Those are questions I'm just throwing out there for people
Mm.
to think about as we move through this. The simple step that you offered, I love everything, like dialing it down to like, because some of these concepts can feel so big that we're just like, turn off the news. I can't. Like you said, like turn your
Right.
back to the shore. Like this feels so overwhelming to me. I don't even want to look at this. Like I'm just going to get up and do what I got to do in these next 5 minutes because this feels too big. So when we dial it down to these micro steps, I think that's really important and digestible for myself and for others. And the takeaway that you just shared of connecting is just so spot on for Create Magic at Work, because that's one of the skills of an edge walker is connecting. And an edge
Mm.
walker is a change agent. They are a wise and effective change agent. They can build bridges between seemingly different worlds. They can build bridges between AI and the greater good for the communities and our planet and humanity, right? And an edge walker that is a high level connector like you. I saw your profile. I hope you don't mind that. And so in that space, for everyone listening, connecting is the ability to make connections between seemingly unrelated ideas and processes and a capacity for building networks. This is what Evan was just saying, a capacity for building networks and linking people to each other. And that was the tip and the call to help you feel empowered through these changes is be a high level connector in a way that you can link with other people and ideas to help yourself grow. So yeah, if anyone wants to take the Edgewalker profile, by the way, it's on the createmagicatwork.net website, and you can see where you score on being a connector, and it might help you spark some new ideas to feel empowered if you are feeling stuck or in a place where you're just like, I don't know what step I need to take next. Anyways, yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. Okay, I'm going to
Mm.
pull a journal prompt card for you from my journal
Cool.
prompt card that I authored. It's a deck of 33 cards for your work and for your career. And you can find it at createmagicatwork.net under the shop. Each card has an affirmation and 2 coaching questions. So we're going to get a message for you and for everyone listening.
Great. Is it pulled at random?
Yeah, I shuffled it with those
That's
closed.
cool.
Yeah, and we're going to get, one just like flew. Sometimes like they fly out.
Wow.
So we got partnership.
Oh, nice. I love it.
And the illustration is a couple of people kind of toasting a drink, mocktail or alcohol, whatever, with stars.
Mm-hmm.
The affirmation for everyone is the people in my network are supportive and genuine. I love that for this conversation today, because if you're seeking support for financial freedom, whether it's psychologically or on paper as well, I think this is a really great intention to put out is like, yes, the people that I seek out in my network are going to be supportive and genuine. Plus, Evan, you mentioned networking and we talked about connecting with Edgewalker. So this is just a beautiful, beautiful addition to this. The people in my network are supportive and genuine. Evan, final piece of insight for the listeners. This is I'm really curious on what you're going to say to this, because you're bringing okay, let me tee this up. So a lot of leaders, and I'm generalizing again, but particularly women in the workplace, operate from an empathic place where they may overgive, and then that can contribute to burnout because they're taking on what's really not theirs to take on, rather than setting healthy boundaries and kind of falling into that trap of doing everything for everyone. So, what are some ways that we can all in our life or in our work create a give and take balance?
Well, I think that there's a want to. I might have a setting myself for a little bit too much freedom given. Let's say you're working on a project together. My setting would be to give as much leeway as possible to the people that maybe are in more supporting roles, but knowing that I will need to sort of check in and make sure that we're sort of on track. And then if there's a piece of micromanaging that needs to happen, jumping in that regard. But I think this is where extreme ownership, Jocko Willink book Extreme Ownership really makes a lot of sense to me. Is you never want to be telling people, you want to agree on, be aligned, agree on a goal or an intention, as you're saying, but I think goal. And let person own the way that they're going to get there. When someone has ownership of coming up with the plan, what happens when things don't go to plan? They feel a different level of responsibility than if you are, hemming them in. I want this done, this done, this done, this done. It's like, dude, well then, where am I in this whole equation? And then what happens when the plan, as plans naturally do, doesn't work? It's like, hey man, it's not my plan. You're the knucklehead who told me to do it this way. I would have done something totally different. So I think it's really being, if the question's really like how to be a good leader in that regard and working with teams, is to give as much, ownership and freedom to people in order to, get there, take the route they think needs to be taken in order to accomplish the goal. As long as the goal is accomplished, there's no pictures on the scoreboard in that way. And I think people get too caught up with, I think this color should be blue and they think it should be purple. It's like, does it really? Like, they like purple. They're excited about the purple. I'm excited about the purple too. Let's roll with your decision, Amy. That's the way I'm operating. So I don't know if that answers the question, but
No, you did. You're such that's all under being a wise and effective change agent. You're such a wise and effective change agent sharing that. Like, how do I let the art of letting go so the whole team can win? And being open to outcome and not attached to it, and understanding the empowerment piece. Those are all really great things to think about. If we are holding on to something and feeling like we're overgiving and exhausted, maybe we need to let go of control a little bit.
I have lived with a woman a long time. I've got all women in this house. I got a daughter, got, of course, the wife. The dog you heard barking before is called Lady. So I do have a lot of lady experience, it seems, and so I know about this easy button thing that you're talking about, where it's like there's just too much giving, and then all of a sudden there's frustration welling. Where it's like there isn't this sort of reciprocity in that regard, and I think a lot of that could be, at fault, or fault maybe is a strong word, but like, you need the laundry taken in or done. You don't like the exact way that things are folded, like they're folded. It's sort of like, do you want to be right or do you want to win? And I want to win. I don't need to be right. Like, if you go ego to ego with your 13-year-old over stuff, over everything, over things that aren't vital, you're going to have a bad relationship. So it's like picking the things, everything else is sort of like, cool, that's the way you want to. All right, I told you it might be a little cold, but you want to wear a t-shirt. All right, it's that kind of stuff. Like, that's not you're not bumping up the guardrails of safety with those type of arguments. The only time that I'm like hard and fast is like on the edge. Talk about it, like the edges of safety. But beyond that, it's like, all right, let's see. You maybe they're right about something that I'm unaware of. Maybe purple, it does unlock the whole thing and it helps the team win. And I was so hell bent on blue because I think I'm, that's right. It's like, what the hell do I know? I mean, I want to make less decisions, and the way to do that is to give freedom and ownership to people. So that would be my advice to women who are feeling that, or anybody, right? It's like, don't get caught in the weeds over the things that don't really matter. Is it that important, or is it more your ego and want for control that's making you
and letting go of the way that you think things should be on someone else's journey can really unlock innovation for everyone. It's really important.
Isn't that the at root, that's the power of capitalism, right? It's like, you want the best ideas to win, and you want this meritocracy. So this person who you gave lots of ownership to is coming up with these amazing ideas. They're energizing the team, and we're winning as a result. You gave the same amount of ownership to someone and they're a complete squatter, a dud, right? And then it's on you to either train them up to the spot to get them where they need to be or get them off the bus. And that's
Yeah.
basically how I see leadership.
Well, and
Yeah,
often,
so
and the quantum leader can see innovation through chaos and mistakes as well. So yeah, that's all the perspective taking,
I'm all
right?
for those.
Perspective taking. Evan, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
How can people connect with you more? I mean, this was a great conversation. So if people want to learn more from you and
Sure.
stay connected, that was your big tip,
Yeah.
right? How can they
That's
do
true
that?
enough. Yeah, I mean, two spots. If you're interested in the music angle of things, you can go to Instagram, and it's at Golden Tone Pop is our record label Instagram there. Me personally on Instagram, I'm just Evan_Duby. And if you're a LinkedIn person, I'm there too. Those are my three spots. I'm not a X or Twitter person. I find it to be not fun, and I like to have fun, Amy.
There you go. Playful. All right. So
Yeah.
we'll put all of those in the show notes. Evan, thank you so much for
Thanks for having
being
me.
a guest, and thanks for sending some magic to everyone today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back every week to listen to a new episode of Create Magic at Work and really helping to support and advocate for healthy leaders, workplaces, and lives for all of us. If you want any information on how to connect with me, click on the link in the show notes. You'll get access to all of the social media links for Create Magic at Work. Stay following along for more amazing episodes where we help you improve productivity and profitability in the workplace and decrease stress. Sending magic to everyone, and see you next time.